intelligent system. And I mean, it sounds really cool and all, but like, you gotta. I still believe you gotta have somewhat of a domain knowledge or expertise to really design like a system that fits what you're trying to design. Um, and it's like I don't know. I learned. You gotta. Oh, let me go mute. I realized like I learned it. Uh, I learned the discretionary side first, and then now I'm thinking about like automation engineering. You know, a system around this. It's actually pretty cool when I think
Try and
about it.
design.
But anyways, I mean that's like the logical next step of like improvement, right? But I still I don't know to this day I still like the discretionary approach and judgment call to the marketplace. Um, I don't know. V says definitely no matter how great the tool, you need to be able to understand and use it. Yeah, it's definitely something in the topic of like machine learning, which is like developing a system of like no, high signal to noise. Um, like it's very cool, but I do notice like over the years I've met a lot of people who come from that techno background and then they try to get into this domain, but then like I don't think they have a good grip on the domain in order to design a proper system, right? So I think initially like it helps to really understand the domain, which is like the markets or economics or trading or whatever, and then start designing a system. I feel like that approach is better. It's like you really masterfully learn how to ride a bike and do all the tricks with a bicycle before you go and design like an automated biking system or whatever. I don't know if that makes sense. But yeah, just something that I thought about before the meeting today. But anyways, how's everyone doing? Good morning. Happy Sunday. It's 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, Silicon Valley. Hopefully, you guys had a good week. The markets were fantastic. I think if you folks read my weekly watch list, man, like every single one, they were just on point. Best trade of the week, man, I guess you could say a combination of like Tesla and Meta. Tesla really ripped like just on Friday. Um, so yeah, it was a pretty action-packed week. Yeah, CRM, Salesforce probably go higher. Man, it's just the stock market's rallying left and right. And I would feel sorry for folks who are missing out on the action because I mean I look at the bigger picture as well, right? I'm constantly switching between the different systems of like macro, micro, micro, macro. And the bigger picture, I mean like folks would be like, oh, I'm up, right? But then like the bigger picture is like how does these prices impact society and stuff like that. So I think about that as well because I don't know, it's just the fun thoughts that I like to think about. Um, things are, this world's getting very expensive, and I guess technology should be the answer to neutralizing the difficulties for, let's say, a newborn in this world to come into succeed, right? But it's wild out there. Anyways, V says most investors are gamblers and children trying to play against the few adults whales, so lose miserably. It's no contest. Maybe. I guess. Yeah, I guess one could say that. Happy Sunday as well. Let me just see. I'm looking at the comments right here. Actually, the best people know where to find the best tools and optimize their use. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot going on. Okay, let's dive into the markets. We're about 6 minutes in to the day here or to the session. If you folks have any stocks you want me to analyze, please feel free to let me know. But I would say, last week, everything all around, we got Bitcoin 100K, App Lovin', that thing is just insanely going up, 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 and up. We got, most of the fangs hitting, or not the fangs, the indices hitting all-time highs. It's a fantastic market right now, and it seems like we're approaching that whole Santa rally going into year end over here. So I think we end the year well, and the next year probably sets up pretty well also. Of course, we're going to pull back sometime next year as well. That's just how markets move, like a rubber band, right? But for now, the trajectory that I could see in the near term, in terms of like short-term trading action, is things continue to go up, right? Folks have been reaching out to me saying, "Hey, Kay, is it too high?" Of course, like it's gonna feel high, it's gonna feel expensive, but that's just how it is. What did you and Daniel see on AVGO to place zero DTE calls on Friday? Good question. I actually don't recall because there's so many trading activities going on, right? Like especially like that meta one. That meta one really it flipped the 50 MA, which it reminded me it's pretty similar to this one. Like you're not always going to see it right away, I would say, Edward, but this was more of like a discretionary thing, right? So remember, like if you guys folks, if you folks know, uh, what I practice and religiously follow is the institutional moving averages that everyone else is using, right? And I actually should post this in the Telegram. You actually reminded me of something. So let me, I don't know if you folks are on my Telegram, but let me post it real quick. And then I'll share the picture on the screen right here because you just reminded me because I was actually doing some reading over the weekend. Um, and I came across this really fantastic readout right here, and I just posted it on Telegram. But basically, it's I think it was a quote by Paul Tudor Jones, and he basically Paul Tudor Jones, if you don't know, he's billionaire hedge fund manager, and he basically says the quote was a stock must be above its own 200-day moving average, and that he would say get out of anything that falls below the 200-day moving average. So remember, folks, like what I practice in here is I just religiously follow the institutional moving averages, which is basically those 20, 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, right? Because it's like probably it's like probably the highest consensus of like what everyone else is seeing. So when Edward asked me like what do we see in the Broadcom to play zero DTEs? Now zero DTEs is extremely dangerous, right? But what I saw was it basically flipped the 50-day moving average right here on the daily chart, and then if you zoom in, right? You zoom in, this thing basically was just going up all day long, right? So wait, we gotta zoom back out. Oh, go back out and measure or point out where was the 50 MA. So the 50 MA was about 173.33, right? And then we go into the 5-minute chart and we plot the 173.33, and basically it went above the 50-day moving average. Nice retest right here as well. Look at that. Oh my gosh. I know it's like you're sometimes you're finding needle in a haystack, but look at this right here. Look at that fantastic support level right there, right? And then of course, you got a 5-minute flag right here, and basically it broke out right there. Well, basically right there. We're looking at 5 minutes, by the way, folks. So you got movement up, and it just started to run. So it's not always perfect, but yeah, I mean that's one thing that we saw. But then there was also like semiconductor news, if I recall, right? I mean, I was looking at several different things. Like there was just so many things that were flying. But it's fantastic that you folks bring in the questions because I love it. I love to engage in these questions because it's forcing me to build discretionary experience or just forcing me to have judgment on the charts right here. And you're forcing me to your output becomes my input, and then I have to transform, process it in my mind to then articulate another output. And so this is how we constantly learn, right? So I really encourage like the more questions you folks ask, that's how you're gonna, that's how we're all gonna learn, right? It's a constant. I mean, man, like communication is like, man, whoever designed that that our I mean that communication and vision is one of like humanity's greatest uh, gifts of the world, I guess you could say. So use it more. If it's a gift, use it more, right? So yeah, like share a lot more, and we'll learn. We'll rebuttal each other. We'll bounce ideas back and forth, and we'll just learn from experiences, right? So what do we see in that AVGO? Really is just the flip of the 50-day moving average, and then the run up on earnings over here, right? So now, before that, I would say, Edward, was I was also following the 100-day moving average, right? So prior to that, what we know prior to what we saw in the flip, right? You gotta have a little bit of precedence on the technical analysis over here. So we definitely saw that, previously it did test the 100-day moving average here, right? But then it really, I mean, it found support at the 200-day. So we know that it wanted to stay above the 200-day. And then over here, we also know that it wanted to stay above the 100-day. And the 100-day, it's not always perfect because it always pierces it and comes right back in, right? Every time it goes below the 100, it pierces it, and then it shoots up. Goes below the 100, pierces, recovers, pierces it, comes back up, and then shoots up. Look at over here. Similar, sold down to the highlighted area, which is the 100 MA, and then recovered, right? And then came, we know that there's a previously two times it shot up hard, right? So this is like the third time, right? Down below the 200 or 100-day moving average, came back up, and then above the 50 MA, and then now shot up. So there's a good chance that we shoot up again to retest this multi-top resistance that we have right here. right? So that's another way to read it as well. I mean, there's many ways to read this, right? We could spend like just 2 hours on just like this all alone right here. So you can see some of the volume right here. So we know that it came back, reclaimed the 50-day moving average, which was also where a lot of the liquidity was, or at least the price action within this range right here from May until December right here. So that was also pretty insightful, I would say. Um, so the fact that it came back above the 50 and came back above this volume shelf right here on the horizontal volume, told me that hey, it wants to move back up. So this was like the sign right here, and then we also saw like some institutional flows. This was the sign right here to basically try an attempt long, right? So that's I don't know if that helps, but that's how we were kind of looking at it because he was asking me opinions on this one as well. But really, he really nailed Tesla, and that's where Daniel made was it was it 30,000 or 60,000 in one day? It's a lot of money, right? But yeah, he's just like it's been a phenomenal year for him. I think it's probably his best trading year. I don't know. Um, but yeah, this is a really fun game, but you got to dedicate time to it. As I am here today, right? Because I'm not no expert or anything here. I'm just honestly putting in the time. Trust the process. As cheesy as it sounds, you just gotta trust the process. Do the homework. Build up your discretionary, or either side, right? If you want to build up your automated systems from the other side, but you still need to understand domain knowledge, right? Domain knowledge is just if you know in like stats or machine learning, that's another animal to uh, I guess if you want to practice AI today, it helps to have a domain that you're passionate about. And so first you need to learn that domain before you could implement intelligent systems around it. So yeah, I still enjoy this domain to this day, and I'll put in the hours. But yeah, folks, I don't know if you saw that Telegram group, but I just posted the image. Let's see. Baraf says, AVGO, I fear multi-top at 185. Oh, that the fact that you said you fear that, then I guess I have to now buy it because whatever you can't it is fearful. I guess you could say the market's fear as well because it's multiple tops right here, right? But once it clears that multiple top, it also determines the next direction. And with earnings coming up right here, there's a good chance that we just might clear this. And if you ask me, looking at the trajectory of the world and where Broadcom stands, right? This is an $800 billion company, and there's a lot of inflation happening left and right. I actually anticipate this one going up higher, right? So I wouldn't fear that multi-top. Just kind of looking at the macro, right? Looking at what Broadcom's done, it's like combination of hardware, software with the acquisition of VMware. So yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of things going on here, right? I mean, especially like if you look at the history of entity analysis, like Pivotal, the company is also in here. But yeah, was it Pivotal, Carbon Black, VMware, EMC Square, all consolidated into Broadcom now, right? To create that entity, collective aggregate entity valuation, if you think about. So yeah, it really helps to also know history, right, in the stock market. So I don't know, yeah, Bernard's on the call, right? I don't know if Bernard remembers, but this is actually Pivotal. This is actually Carbon Black. That was acquired by VMware at the time. Was it VMware or was it something else? VMware, and then VMware got acquired by Broadcom, and now we're looking at that stock again. We're still looking at, it's like if anything, we're still looking at like Pivotal over here, but it's just consolidated in here, right? So look at how look at how well this performance has gone. So impressive stuff. And I anticipate this to go higher, right? So it's gonna be fearful for a lot of folks, but I anticipate higher. Yes, we did make money on Carbon Black. Yep, that's what Baroff says. Edward says that was very helpful technical analysis. Thank you. Hey, you're very welcome. Hopefully, again, just keep asking, and that's how you're getting me to you're querying from my proprietary experience database that I built over the years from just honest hours, and keep asking, so I keep on outputting the data. Okay, so that's Broadcom, right? I mean, again, there's a combination of things that you want to look at, right? Like it's like this is like we're looking at one company, and you guys already know in here I could dissect this company down to like the individual engineer persona or whatever, right? We can look at the margins, we can look at the shares outstanding, we can look at the sales, we can look at the EPS. We look at the debt. We could look at the the multiplier, valuation multiplier. We could look at the cap table, who owns it. I could get pretty granular, but it also helps to switch your systems between microsystems and macro systems. Macro systems being, what I guess today the trendy word is like situational awareness, right? Or in my words, I would say maybe like just overall broader market awareness. What's going on with the S&P 500, stuff like that. So for individual stocks to really perform, you want to know if you're in a good environment or not. So every week I basically put out, my weekly judgment call on what the environment is, as you folks know. And I would say, every ticker that I mentioned in the weekly watch list, they all, most of them, 95% of them, if I would say, maybe like one or two just went sideways, but majority of them outperformed. And I was just like, yeah, this is getting pretty cool. So, switching from micro analysis of a company, and we can go very granular, understand the business and everything, to now switching to like the macro and also understanding the environment, right? So, folks, we continue to hit all-time highs here. All-time highs is fantastic for the markets, as you've all been noticing. We know the VIX is down, so Nasdaq, or I'm sorry, this is S&P 500. It continues to climb right here. It gets scary. I know. We zoom out to the monthly. Some folks would be like, "Oh, ouch, that's actually pretty high." But you know what? It is what it is, right? S&P 500 year to date now is up 27, almost 28, well, about 28%. So that's where we currently stand with the S&P 500. So environment continues to do really well, and if the environment is really well, again, the not the recommendation, but like what I like to do is when the environment's good, the long trades really work, right? And then conviction builds up. And well, if you saw like Tesla or Facebook or Amazon or Microsoft this week, some of those mega caps were really rallying, and then a lot of other stocks too, making a comeback. Software making a comeback. Hardware is in like a consolidation phase. I mean, I guess hardware really outperformed with the AI narrative, but now it's like transitioning from hardware to software, right? So when I talk about software, remember this thesis that we had back at the real estate office in Cupertino? Not the first office, but the second office in Cupertino when we moved office. Well, look, this one is coming back right here, right? I said this could be one of the most legendary moves, because it's just like what the vast majority. It was back here back in 2023 when I said this could be a legendary move. Well, this legendary move is making a comeback again, right? There's massive volume built up right here, um, right there. So this could be a mega mover, and so I bought calls on these. I know, like if you track like what I said, so the last time I was eyeing this was like over here, right? That was a year ago. Look at me. A year later, about morning. Well, is it more than a year later? Yeah, it's more than a year later. I'm following up with the trade, right? I said back in around this time frame right here. I'm pretty sure I said it maybe around 23. Was this April, May, June, May? Around May time or June, July, I said, hey, this could be a mega runner, but then it failed and it just went back to consolidation. That's fine. But now I'm saying again, right? Because I see activity. That's what matters. Activity is what matters. So, yeah, like this could be a mega runner. And at the time, I said this thing's going to run up to 100. I still believe so, right? But again, this is not investment advice. But I believe this one could run to 100. Um, So you got to be very careful here, right? You got to know when to cut your losses as well. This isn't the only one that spiked this week, right? Because I see the capital flows, right? You have to build up that domain knowledge of the markets and understand how it flows, how things move around, and then now you just kind of see it like it's actually pretty easy once you develop the understanding. So we know we have to follow I constantly follow the narratives of the market. So we know that we recently had the hardware rally, right? Now hardware is resting and the hardware rallied because the whole AI thing with like ChatGPT or transformer technologies or large language models or in other words an AI brain, right? A large AI consolidated model brain, whatever. Humanity's text base, all in one LLM. Yeah, I mean that caused the hardware movement, and now the hardware movement is stalling, right? Maybe it'll move again in like the next quarter here, but now I'm seeing software making moves. So check out SoundHound over here. Oh boy, this one was actually, on the watch list as of last week. The ones that I think would move. So every week, I basically jot down what I think will move, and this was a big mover right here. This is like insane. This is beautiful right here. Of course, my practice is, if I capture 25% moves, I always sell. That's just my new. What happened there? My rule is like, if a stock goes 25% in my favor, I always sell some. Like it's just non-negotiable at this point. Like you got to appreciate like what you've accomplished. If you get like 25% in 1 week, you have to take it, right? V says I was lucky and happy to get some sound at around $5. Exactly. Right now, this one could go a lot higher. We just don't know. So it pays to come back, but it also pays, right? Like Bernard says, it never hurts to take a profit. So I basically took a lot on this day. I did not get this day right here, right? But I'm willing to get back in. Um, there's just so many things going on right now. So this obviously this is like a smaller dollar amount down here, right? Yeah, you never go broke taking a profit. So I would just constantly take profits, right? Like right now, like if anything, like Uncle Sam freaking loves Daniel right now. If anything, like I like Uncle Sam probably has Daniel's photo in like his Hall of Fame, like no joke. Sorry, sipping on some coffee over here, but yeah, like yeah, this is fantastic. This is a great environment right now. So we know software is moving, and so we could really, practice and generate some trading theses, right? So these are all things that we want to think about. It's like lots of opportunities today. But folks who are listening for free, well, you know how it is. I'm locking up things, and the only way to access this investment club is through finvizclub.com. So if you want to join and listen to the rest of this, please come aboard because I got to turn off the live stream now. So thanks for tuning in. But the folks that are in the Zoom, we're going to